Thank you. Good morning and welcome to this Cabinet meeting on a very grey and wet December morning, but we're all looking forward to Christmas, I know, so we've got some really good, exciting issues to talk about this morning. So thank you if you're joining us from home. We begin, as we always do, with apologies for absence. Karen, are there any? Thank you. The next one is the minutes of the last meeting on the 11th of November. Can we agree these as a true record? Thank you very much. That's unanimous. We know about disclosure of members' interests, and I will leave that with you if you feel there are still some that you want to declare at some stage. Okay, so that takes us to the first agenda item, which is number 4, which is Q1, Q2 corporate performance report. And we bring these reports on a regular basis, and it is to ensure that we retain a strong challenge to ourselves, as well as acknowledgement of success when we look at the key performance indicators that make up how we monitor the way we do things. And so the report is very clear in that it has a number of performance indicators at the back of it, but it also clarifies once again that our 3 key priorities drive everything that we do, and they are to provide value for money for our residents. In other words, all of those extra things that many other councils don't provide for council tax. Secondly, to tackle inequalities and to do the best we can, working with partners to help those people who need help most. And then finally, to be very assertive and ambitious around raising business opportunities, helping people to get set up in business and supporting those that are already underway in Northumberland. We have those are the key priorities, and those drive us in everything we do. So I'm very happy with this report. I think there are some areas where we need to delve a bit deeper, but generally it shows a good set of figures that demonstrate, I think, excellent progress in what we're doing to deliver those priorities for the benefit of the county. Are there any questions or comments anyone would like to make? No. Yes, please, Richard.
Yes, thank you, Leader. I'll just talk a little bit through some of the economic indicators that we've got in the report. So we've got a piece there on external investment secured. It's good. We've always been very strong as a council. Just to give a flavour for anyone watching back home, on the YouTube channel, we still have significant attempts at getting the final money for projects like the Blythe Relief Road. We've been talking recently with the Combined Authority and others about extension of the Northumberland line, which we would very much like to see, and of course a longer term solution for issues with Moor Farm roundabout in particular, and Seaton Burn. We're hoping to make progress on those. You've got in this report as well the number of enterprises receiving grants, 228. We do a huge amount with local businesses, both small business, medium, and right up to the larger stuff like Blackstone QTS, where we've got the biggest investment in the country, billions and billions of pounds going into Camas. And I was very pleased to see the Reserve Matters application for their final design of their first 2 units get through planning the other day. So very, very pleased on that progress. There is an indicator here which isn't as strong as we'd like it to be, and it's employment rate. Obviously, that's heavily influenced by the performance of the government, and we've seen, unfortunately, the number of people out of work or unemployed going up ever since the general election. We're doing everything that we can to target that, to intervene, in particular in some of the households where we've got longer term unemployment. We've also been having to pick up the pieces to an extent with Merit. We've had a task force there where we're making sure that those people that are unfortunately finding themselves out of work as a result of Merit's difficulties in Cramlington are getting into work. And in particular, a big focus as well on apprenticeships, because the apprentices that have been working with Merit have had a potentially very challenging position put in front of them, but we're absolutely determined that we stand by them, that we get them into new apprenticeship schemes where that is their wish, and we've been successful in that. Thank you.
That's really helpful. I do agree with you about Moor Farm Roundabout, I have to say. I think we were all very disappointed that there wasn't specific mention about it in the budget, but I look forward to working with the Mayor and with government to actually get on with this job. I noted there was another accident there yesterday which held up traffic for a long time, but it is a key essential ingredient into our Northumberland growth plan. And we don't get the support from government that we need in terms of connections and good connections. It makes it that much harder to do what we want to do. So I'm sure working together with the Mayor and with government, we can see Moor Farm proceed. The other one that you mentioned is the Blythe Relief Road, and anyone that's been trying to come off the A189 and into Blythe, honestly, really at any time of the day, but certainly in the rush hour, it's just absolutely terrible on Coupon Road now. So well done for us for the business case. We're just waiting, I think, now for the Department of Transport to come back to us. So anyway, points very well made. Back to you.
Yeah, I'll just quickly, before Nick comes in, perhaps provide some clarity on that Blythe Relief Road question, which is that we do have all of the documents, I think, now with government, and they're going through a process of prioritising the various road schemes up and down the country. We feel that we should be scoring in amongst the very top projects, and so would be hopeful of a positive decision. But I'm sure that between us we'll be writing to the Secretary of State for Transport to make that case very plain that we need this investment.
Excellent. Any other? Yes, Mark Mather and then Nick Oliver.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the figures on the principal and non-principal roads, the Bs and Cs, how they're still remaining better than target. And I think that's because of this administration's investment last year of the Winter Fund. And what I'd like to say is that, you know, we're not sticking at this. We want to continue to improve those figures. And, you know, we've got a team that have aspirations to do that. So just wanted to highlight those figures.
Yeah, dead right. So well done to you and to everyone involved in highways. We've done a fantastic amount of work, and let's hope we don't get too much frost and rain and snow, but the roads are so much better now. Yes, Nick Oliver.
If I could just say a couple of words about the sort of less sexy part of the thing, the actual driving efficiency and improving the way we deliver services, the sort of value for money corporate priority. It's really, really important, and there's a huge amount of very, very detailed work going on that isn't sort of massively public-facing behind the scenes. And we have 5,400 staff. 80% of those staff live in the county. And it's really, really important that we continue to invest in supporting those staff, giving them the tools that they need to be able to deliver services efficiently and get best value for money for council taxpayers across the county. The BEST programme is mentioned in here, and there's a whole heap of different things going on, driving improvements in service, driving better delivery for every pound spent, and that includes things like you know, a very comprehensive review of council buildings and where can we you know, consolidate use of buildings and you know, find better uses for some of the buildings. There's investment. We're at the final stages of a very long-awaited big procurement project for a new CRM system, customer relationship management system, which will bring together a lot of the outward-facing aspects of the council and allow staff to be able to sort of get access to information, provide more immediate answers to residents and provide better service as well as saving money. So yeah, we're basically never sort of sitting back. We're constantly driving efficiencies. We'll hear later on in this meeting about some of the financial pressures we're facing as a council, and I just think it's really important to highlight that excellent work.
No, you're absolutely right, and the importance of running a tight ship is very important, and we owe that to our council taxpayers, and we are definitely very hot on that, and will continue to be. So I therefore will ask that we take a vote on this. The report and recommendations are proposed by Councillor Wearmouth, seconded by Councillor Chicken. Are you all in favour? Okay, lovely, thank you. So we move on now to the Borderlands Place programme, the Bailiff Gate Museum at Northumberland Hall. This is the next paper in what has been a very interesting and very exciting partnership that will see the Grade 1 listed building in Alnwick find a new heart and a new soul. It will, thanks to the Bailiff Gate Museum team, led by Jean Humphreys, who has attracted a huge amount of money from Heritage Lottery funding, significant funding from Borderlands, and also some money from us to move the Bailiff Gate Museum and a whole range of other interesting ideas into Northumberland Hall. So this is the paper that actually says, right, we're off. We're asking for update, so we're asking to endorse the approval of the community asset transfer and the lease for the hall to go to Bailiff Gate Museum and Gallery, and to delegate authority to the Executive Director of Place and Regeneration to approve the above community asset transfer and lease, subject to compliance, obviously, with subsidy control requirements. So I'm really happy to formally propose this report and those recommendations, seconded by Councillor Wearmouth. Thank you. Are there any questions or queries about this one? Yes, Councillor Patterson.
Can I just say how delighted I am to have the Bailiff Gate Museum right in the middle of Alnwick. It's going to be so accessible for visitors, tourists, for local people, and in such a lovely historic building. So absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much, Wendy, and thank you for the work that you've done on this as well. Richard.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, just to pay a bit more testament as well to the amount of work that's gone into this. The Bailiff Gate Museum team have done an extraordinary job in attracting such a large amount of lottery funding. That's not straightforward or easy. You really have to put a lot of work in and demonstrate a strong project, which is exactly what this is. I'm frequently up in Alnwick and sit on the Borderlands group that administers the various projects. It's been really interesting to see this project emerge along with a whole host of other ones. There's a lot going on in Alnwick. We've got work going on the cobbles. We've had the work on Narrogate. We've got work to come on the bus station, and there's a whole host of other ideas fermenting and bubbling away in the background, and it really will invigorate Alnwick even more than it already is. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would actually also like to thank Alnwick Town Council, because they have played a very, very important role, not just in this project, but they are very good partners to work with. And they kind of set a really good example of how a town council can work together with the county council and then bring great advantage and improvements to their town. And I know Morpeth Town Council are also very good in that way as well. So well done to Alnwick Town Council and to the Mayor, of course. Anything else from anyone else on this one? No. Okay, so formally proposed and seconded. Are you all in favour? Please show. Yes, you are. That's unanimous. Thank you very much indeed. So now we move on to some financial matters, and the first one is the approval of the Council Tax Support Scheme 26-27. I'm going to ask Nick Oliver, who leads for us on finance, to tell us about it.
Thank you, Glenn. I think the council tax support scheme, I'll just sort of set a little bit of context first. The budget process started in early summer, and we, like all local authorities, we're facing challenging times, and we have to find savings, and so this is sort of done within that context. Just to give a bit of an example, in the last we were looking for £20 million worth of savings for the next financial year. And that figure has increased by 8 million since we got the sort of latest indications from MHCLG. So we are working very hard to try and produce a balanced budget for next year. And there's still a degree of uncertainty, and we are expecting to get that clarified this time next week, but it's very late in the process. So officers across all departments, cabinet members have been looking at their own areas and looking at how we can drive these savings. The other context about the council tax support scheme is that Northumberland has got one of the most generous schemes in the region, and one of the only schemes that isn't a banded scheme. For some time now, we've been thinking that we need to move to a sort of a more easy to run, more understandable scheme for the people that are benefiting from it. So we've been out and we've done a very extensive consultation on the council tax support scheme, our proposals. There were a number of different options proposed, and we've settled on the option that's set out in detail in this paper. I think the key message is that what we're proposing will increase support for those most in need. So currently the cap on support was 92%, so everybody was expected to pay 8%, and that did present some sort of collection problems. What we're proposing now is that 4,600 households will get 100% support, so they won't have to pay any council tax at all. We'll have a banded scheme that's based around income. We've listened to the consultation. We've talked about one of the issues around that's been sort of raised, and one of the things that we considered right from the outset was around the disregards. So they're the sort of circumstances that are disregarded when a person's entitlement or a household's entitlement to this benefit is calculated. So we've maintained those disregards as they were previously. So what we're expecting with this scheme is a saving to the council of around £2 million a year, and a saving in terms of the cost of administration. And the way the scheme is administered at the moment is that as people's universal credit changes, which it often does due to different changes in working circumstances, then this has to be recalculated. A banded scheme means that there's less need for recalculation, and so therefore there's less work involved, and the cost to the council of actually running the scheme will be significantly lower, hundreds of thousands of pounds lower. There'll also be an improved collection rate as well, because we'll be focusing the support, more support to those people that need it most, and also it will be less onerous for applicants. We do know that applicants often, their circumstances change, they don't realise what notification they need to make, and then suddenly they find that they're being asked to repay an overpayment, and that does cause great anxiety and collection problems. So hopefully this will mitigate against some of those issues. So in summary, there's been an extensive consultation. We've listened to the consultation. This is the option we're proposing. We're not making a decision here today. As a cabinet, what we're doing is proposing one of the options to go forward for discussion and a decision by the full council at the meeting in January. So that's an important point, is we aren't making the decision. It's also worth highlighting there's been a very, very comprehensive impact assessment carried out, and that was a very detailed piece of work that was carried out sort of early on. And that sets out many of the mitigation measures and the additional support that we can provide for claimants, but it also sets out the transitional arrangements that will be in place as well. So we feel that this is the right option, a fair option, and anybody affected adversely will be supported very comprehensively.
Yes, that's an excellent explanation. Thank you very much indeed. And you did refer to the Integrated Impact Assessment, which is a document that is attached to this for anyone to read. It runs to 50 pages. And as you say, I'm very grateful to Jill O'Neill in particular and others who were involved in this very important piece of work. And it's there for anyone that would like to read it to understand how deeply we've gone into this and the care in which we've taken this report. Richard Wearmouth.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, we've been looking at this for some time in terms of a banded scheme option. Probably even started, I think, when I was the cabinet member responsible, and we've taken our time to make sure that we understand exactly how it will work. We can target those people, as Nick says, who need our help the most, increasing it to that level of 100% support for those that are very much in the most need. It comes up every year in terms of making sure that we have some funds to help as well, targeted support, because we know that there's no sort of, no matter how much you write into a document, there's no perfect solution that works for everybody. So we'll have some funds available to deploy where people come into a particular need. But just to emphasise this point about what banding does, it stops the council sending out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds or thousands of letters over a period of a financial year, confusing people who don't understand why they're getting a letter simply to tell them that there's been a modest change in universal credit, and so we've changed the level of council tax support that they might receive by 53 pence or whatever. We're duty bound to do it. What the banding system will mean is there will only be a modest handful of times where people cross the band where we might need to do something like that. It saves us a huge amount on admin. It gets the support to where it's needed, and it's now is the time to do that. We've transferred completely across to, I think, to universal credit, or if not, we must be very, very close to it. And it's that helps as well to tip the balance as to why this is very much necessary. So, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. That's very sound. Yes. Of course. There we are. There we have a proposal which will go to council, and I think it's, as I say, it's been the subject of many months of work, and we'll have to see what the budget settlement's like. But if, as we fear, it will not be particularly helpful, this is a statement that we may well have to make, and if we don't, then we will have to find savings elsewhere. Okay, so there we are. Thank you for that. Proposed and seconded. I think, did I propose and second that? Let's do it again in case I didn't. So proposed by Councillor Wearmouth, seconded by Councillor Oliver. Are you all in favour? Yes, that's unanimous. Move on now to the financial performance for the council. The position as we were at the end of September, and I'm going to ask Councillor Oliver to tell us about this as well.
Thank you. So at the risk of sounding like the harbinger of doom or Rachel Reeves, I just sort of want to again talk about the context. The budget process is sort of, as I just said, is well advanced. There's been sort of information released by MHCLG that gets modelled by third parties on behalf of all county councils. So it's not a precise figure we're working with at the moment, but as I've just said, we are looking at the very late in the process to find another £8 million worth of savings. It seems that the government no longer recognises that the remoteness indicator, which was basically a factor that was used in calculating what local authorities got, which basically is, to my mind, common sense. If you've got a large county like Northumberland, and you've got to collect the bins from every house in Northumberland. Some of those houses are a lot further away than they would be in a less remote area. So the idea that suddenly we don't have that extra burden, that extra cost, and the government are no longer seeing it, remoteness as a driver of cost, just beggars belief, to be honest. And then on the other thing that's happening is that, that there is a recovery fund. So the money that's being top sliced, and I believe it's about £600 million, is being sort of top sliced from the overall pot of funding for local authorities. And that money appears to be being redirected away from counties towards London and metropolitan areas. So that's another significant challenge. And the mechanism that's being used for that is called the Recovery Fund. And lo and behold, Northumberland, of all of the authorities in the northeast of England, is well, it's not the only one that isn't getting any refund. I think North Tyneside is not doing very well, but we're getting nothing. And other authorities are benefiting quite nicely. So that's a real concern, and it just puts extra pressure. So that sets the context that we're working with. This report is a sort of financial report to the half-year point. And the first point I'd make is that the officers have done a great job, because 3 months ago at the first quarter point, we were forecasting an overspend of 7.5 million. That's now down to 3.3 million. But I'll just sort of quickly touch upon the key areas. Like all authorities, we are facing exponentially increasing demand for our social care services, adults in particular. We're forecasting a £6.8 million overspend in adults, and that's sort of increasing demand for complex care needs and the statutory support that we're required to give. And it is a worrying trend, and it's something that we as a council are working really hard to be able to sort of deliver. But it puts financial pressure on us. We're doing all sorts of things to be able to deliver the support that those residents need and deserve in a more efficient way, including building more capacity within the county. But for illustrative purposes, there are 269 packages in place at the moment, with an annual cost each of over £100,000. So that's quite a those packages are expensive and very complex and very numerous. On children's, we are forecasting a 2.6 million overspend. That's sort of stabilised since the first quarter position. We're being very proactive to try and develop extra capacity in the county, and that's a really important thing. I think it's important for two reasons. It's better for the children that need that support, because they're able to get the support closer to their own communities where appropriate, and but it's also better for the council, because we can it costs less. We can deliver it more efficiently ourselves than by paying very expensive fees to external providers, often out of county, often with additional transport costs as well. So I think that's a key. But both of these areas are being very, very sort of tackled in detail, but they are a constant concern for us and other authorities. The increase in EHCP has been well documented. There's a lot of debate going on a national level about the sort of future, how the country as a whole deals with SEND, and we're expecting sort of great things of the government's white paper. What's just been announced is a big conversation. I personally would say the last thing we need is a big conversation. What we need is actual action, concrete solutions to the problem, and kicking the can down the road isn't really going to help anybody. It's not going to help local authorities. It's not going to help the people that need the support the most. So I would urge the government to just get on with it, come up with the solutions and put them into place through legislation. Because the current sort of scenario we're facing is unsustainable. Not even in the long term, in the medium term, it's unsustainable. So some of the overspends in this report are sort of offset largely by sort of corporate costs, which are around sort of the cost of borrowing and reduced staffing costs, so sort of fewer people, some vacancies not being filled and things like that, but delivering the services more efficiently, and the borrowing costs is partly reduced borrowing costs are partly to do with capital reprofiling. There's a section in the report that sets out what we've actually spent capital money on this year so far and what's also being reprofiled. And that's £42 million we've spent so far in transport, which is an important part of our economic regeneration story for the county. And obviously much of that is focused around the Northumberland line, and that's been a huge success with way higher than expected passenger numbers. And it's basically opening up southeast Northumberland and connecting it properly with the sort of Tyneside metropolitan area. Which is really good for individuals living there, but also good for our economy. We've invested £24 million in education and young people. So some of that is our investment in schools, one of the only local authorities doing that. But it's also some of the things I've just mentioned around investment in extra in-county facilities. We've invested £3.7 million in fleet replacements. We as an authority, like all authorities, are under pressure, but eventually you can't keep maintaining the fleet because the wagons break down more than is acceptable, and that causes problems. So we do have to replace fleet, and we do need modern workshop facilities to be able to do that. So that's another story. We've invested £6.7 million in housing, and that's really important. A sort of part of our tackling inequalities objective. There's a lot around treasury management in this report. I think all I really need to say is it continues to be very sound. But we are at the point where internal borrowing, which is where we use our sort of cash reserves to offset our borrowing need, we can't do any more of that. So that sort of route has now been exhausted. So that we just need to be mindful of that. But we are well within our operational boundary and our authorised limits at 60%. Of our authorised limits, so that just shows we are tackling this sort of in a very sound, prudent way. There's a little bit about the BEST programme and the target for £5.7 million in recurrent savings. The BEST programme is a really, I've mentioned that already, but it is very important part of sort of council activity. And we're at the point now where a lot of the preparatory work is done, and we should see sort of the accelerated benefits of that coming forward in the remainder of this year and next year. But we're keeping a close eye on that every month, and there's some fantastic work being done. And I'd just like to sort of put on record our thanks to staff in all departments who have embraced this. Change management is often difficult, but there has been a really positive appetite within the council to change, and we're very thankful for that. And then there's a little bit about the HRA and the overspend in HRA. Again, additional cost pressures on maintaining our housing stock. And Appendix B shows the progress against our last year's savings targets. So that sort of, in summary, is where we're at. A forecast overspend, but it is less than the forecast overspend that we forecast 3 months ago.
That's a fantastic summary. Thank you very much for that. Are there any questions or queries? Yes, Councillor Stewart.
You may not be able to answer this, Councillor Oliver, but Northumberland has got a wide geographical area, and a lot of it's very rural. People in rural areas at the moment are suffering in various ways due to government policy. These are in towns such as Berwick, Alnwick, Rothbury, Howtwhistle, Ponteland, Morpeth, Prudder, Allendale, and other areas as well. It's more expensive for individuals to live there, families to live there, business to continue to grow. Ask, why has the government done this, taken this money away from us?
I can't answer that. I would love to be able to answer it, but it's a very good question. I mean, I think the key point is that I can't remember precisely, but the vast majority of the area, the physical area within Northumberland, is classified by government as rural. So when we've been implementing broadband schemes in the past, and they've been focused on rural areas, most of our towns across the county, I think Cramlington is not rural. I think parts of Ashington perhaps, but it's sort of. But there are surprisingly large amounts of the county that are classified as rural. And if I'm honest, it just doesn't feel like rural communities are the friends of government at the moment.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Anything else? So can I do have to just add that our grateful thanks to a team of officers that we are so lucky to have, and the cabinet that works so well with officers right through the organisation. And despite the financial problems that we are being put into and have had to deal with, we still managed to build new schools. We still managed to enhance our leisure centres, to Berwick, the Culture and Creative Zone shortly, the Ashington Town Centre, all the work that we're doing there, and in Blythe. And the work, I believe, that's due to take place in Hexham to allow this new, very exciting recycling scheme to take place there this time next year. So we're funding all the county. We have no favourites. The whole county is being treated fairly by this council, and will continue to be. Any money that we spend will be driven solely by those two really important facts. One is around value for money, because we're spending taxpayers' money, and therefore we have a great obligation to make sure we spend it wisely, and to our staff. And at whatever particular part of the organisation they work, they remain a really important part of this organisation, because we couldn't do what we do without them. So those two key driving factors are really important, but that's why I'm really pleased that we are spending so much money, and that we've spent that wonderful, we've seen a wonderful school built in Hexham, and we've seen that excellent bit of work recently in Hexham at the Shambles, which looks lovely now. And I've had a number of people saying, well done to the County Council for doing that bit of work. So we will spend money where it fits the criteria, but obviously always very carefully. So with that, are you going to propose this paper and recommendations, and seconded by Councillor Mather? Are you all in favour? You are, and that's great. Thank you very much for that. The summary of new capital proposals. Again, we have two this month. The first one is the Allen Heads public toilets. I'm going to ask Councillor Mather to tell us about this, please.
Thanks, Leader. Yes, this is a approval of spend of 150,000 on out of our property stewardship fund for the Allen Head public toilets. It requires a new septic tank and pipework system to be put in. This will improve value for money, because it will reduce ongoing maintenance costs. And this is about this council being proactive to ensure that the system's fit for purpose, and we don't receive any fines for any sewage system failure, especially next to the river. So we want to be able to improve the system. It's also about improving the attractiveness to locals and visitor economy, which is incredibly important. And this work continues on from the investment that we've currently just done in 2 sites in Amble and also the site at Haltwhistle. And I think my position in the Cabinet and hearing what other local authorities are looking at doing with their toilets is selling them off or permanent closure. So we should be quite proud that we want to continue investing in these facilities right across the whole county. And yeah, so that's the current proposal for Allen Heads.
Excellent, thank you very much. You will be welcoming this, Councillor Horncastle.
Indeed, Leader. Right, so Allen Heads, for those of you who may not have visited Allen Heads, it is the southernmost village in the county. You just drive through Allen Heads up the hill and then you're into Durham, a few miles the other way into Cumbria. So why is this important? Well, like Councillor Mayor has said, but Allen Heads is a very, very important tourist attraction. It's got the sea-to-sea cycle route runs through it. It's the gateway to the old lead mine and historical events and things that happen in the area. It's not far from Killip and all the other things. It's got many, many visitors. It's very popular with the motorcyclists coming through. But the problem we've got is this old septic tank, and it's a huge septic tank, in the middle of the village, doesn't seem to belong to anybody. Nobody can... I've been looking at this for 2 or 3 years. The problem, not the septic tank. And nobody can seem to know who's responsible for it. Our public toilets feed into it, so we've got some sort of moral duty to see to it. It's right next to a very popular cafe, and from Easter to October, the smell in the village is absolutely horrendous. But it's worse than that, because all the pipework to this septic tank is broken, it's fractured, it's putting raw effluent into the River Allen. So we've got to be very careful that we've got to look at the situation of fines in the future, but we're on top of it now, so everything's okay. So I really welcome this investment in the village.
Good, thank you very much indeed. Absolutely the right thing for us to be doing. And as you say, I think we are one of the very few councils now that continue to invest in public toilets when most councils have either already tried to divest themselves of them or are in the process of doing so and hitting quite a lot of public reaction, and I'm not surprised as well. So we will continue to invest in our public toilets because it's the right thing to do. Right, you would like to propose this particular item, and it's seconded by Councillor Oliver. Are you all in favour of the Allendale public toilets? Excellent. Can we move on to the second one now? And I'm going to ask Richard Wimmer to tell us about a boiler replacement.
Thank you, Leader. There's nothing more exciting than talking about boiler replacement in council buildings. So here I'll try and make it come to life for you. We've got a number of boilers here at County Hall that are coming towards the end of their life. They're gas boilers. They're you keep the building warm sometimes, but we are running into some issues with them. We therefore need to invest to replace them. This is the right time to replace them. If we'd done it earlier when we refurbished the building, they would have still had plenty of operational life in them. They do not any longer. We've looked at renewable alternatives, including ground source heat pumps and so forth, but those would not match the design of the heating apparatus in the rest of the building and would cost many millions of pounds. And we're not a council that spends millions of pounds on green initiatives for no reason. This is a prudent use of our cash at a time where the government is pushing our head underwater in terms of funding. So this is the best option available to us. It is the cheapest option available to us. It will make sure that we can continue working at County Hall for many years to come in the appropriate conditions.
Thank you very much. But actually, as we know, we are extending the use of the County Hall to more people and making sure that our estate is run in the most efficient way. So this will actually help us be able to attract more people to come in, I would have thought.
Yeah, so you're quite right, is that part of the BEST programme is making sure that we're using County Hall to the best of our abilities in terms of occupancy. We've moved people back into this building from other locations where we've got significant underuse of buildings and where we can release those buildings to more optimised or better economic use in the communities up and down the county where we have them but need them no longer. So, yep, all part of that rationalisation of our estate programme as well.
That's great, thank you. So are you proposing this particular one?
I shall do.
And it's seconded by Councillor Horncastle. Are there any questions or queries about this? Anyone? No? Okay, so are you all in favour, please, of this one? We are. Thank you. We move on then to a really important paper around our housing allocations policy. I'm going to ask Colin Horncastle, who leads for us on this, to tell us about it.
Thank you, Leader. So, the purpose of this today is to seek the Cabinet approval for the updating of our housing allocations policy. Before I give some background to this, I'll just read out a paragraph here to show just the legal implications of this. The Housing Act of 1996 places a duty on local authorities to have an allocation policy for determining priorities and for defining the procedures to be followed in allocating social housing accommodation. All allocations of social housing by the local authority must be made in accordance with the publicly published allocations policy. And this policy must include all the aspects of the allocation process. So that's why this is seriously important. So, where are we? At the moment, we are operating the allocations policy operating at the moment. If we look at the headlines, the bandings of it, I'll let people know what the bandings are. You've got Band P, which is urgent medical, welfare or hardship need. And people in Band P take priority over anybody else on the housing register. You've got Band 1, which is high medical needs and welfare need. Band 2, medium medical or welfare grounds, relationship breakup. And you've got 2R, which is the same as 2, but these are people who may be financially in a better financial position than the other people. They may have an interest in a property, may have a possible criminal conviction. And then you come to Band 3, and this is the one that's causing us all the issues. Band 3, people in Band 3 have no identifiable housing need, but they can't bid on Home Finder. So, yesterday's figures are, in Band P, we have 234. So the people that's in serious need. Band 1, 1,885. Band 2, 2,382. Band 2R, 686. Band 3, 7,088. That makes a grand total of 12,275, which means that well over half the people on our housing register have not got an identifiable housing need. So you might think, well, that's not a problem. Well, it is a problem, actually, because anybody in Band 3 can bid for a home, for a house on Home Finder. Now, these people have actually no chance of being allocated a house. So ourselves, our officers here, and staff at the RSLs like Benicia and Carbon and others have to trawl through all these applications from people who do have no chance of getting a house. So what we're proposing today is to remove Band 3. It'll be very politically sensitive. There'll be a lot of kickback about this. People will be saying, you've taken over 7,000 people off the housing list. Well, we haven't, actually, because those 7,000 people have no chance of getting a house anyway. And what it means is it gives our officers double the time to concentrate on the people that actually have a real housing need. So it's a win-win situation. So what about the 7,000 people in Band 3? Well, if their circumstances change, then they will enter Band 2 or Band 1 or Band P. All we're saying is we need to clear this so our officers and for the RSLs can concentrate on the people with real housing need. Over half the people on the list can bid and they haven't got. So can you imagine if you're an officer and a house comes up in Hexham somewhere and on Home Finder people bid for it, you know that over half the people bidding for it, you've got to troll through all these and sort everything out. Half the people have no chance. It doesn't make sense in the modern world. So, what else is in here? Tightening up on the local connection to Northumberland. Very important. At the moment, somebody in the neighbouring authority, if they meet some of the criteria, could actually apply to live in Northumberland. Well, that's going to end. The exception to that will be any armed forces service leavers. If they meet the criteria, then they can go on the housing list, which I'm sure a lot of people will find very helpful. The Home Finder, which we get a lot of complaints about, people say, oh, I was jumping on the Home Finder at midnight as soon as something came live. In the next month or two, we're going to update that so it syncs better with our allocations policy. The rural allocations. Now, those of us from a rural area know that we have a real shortage of rural accommodation. And the private sector is getting harder and harder because with the proposed changes the governments are bringing in, there will be fewer and fewer houses in the private sector to rent from May onwards. A lot of landlords are just not going to rent them out, they're just going to sell them instead. So, as we move forward with the local plan, a lot of any of the housing that's built in the smaller towns in the rural areas, we'll have rural allocation policies to make sure that they go to local people. And the preferences, and the Home Finder will actually show that there will be a preference where there's a shortage that will go to local people. Asylum seekers are presently in Band P. Well, they will be removed. I'm not sure if they'll be removed altogether, but they'll certainly be removed from Band P. And they may have to, if they meet the criteria, they may, but I may not. But I'm not clear on that because I was just quickly informed this morning by the Director of Housing there's a change there. So what we're looking at today is, it looks like a big change, and there will be people out there who'll come back and say, oh, you're taking all these people off the housing register. We're not. What we're doing is, we're making sure that our resources are concentrated on the people that's in Band P, Band 1, Band 2, and 2R. Concentrate on them. They are the people with a housing need. Remove the people, remove Band 3, that's well over half the people, and then we can then move forward. There's an awful lot of other stuff. It's a massive long report, but full of detail, but they're the headlines that we've got to concentrate on.
Excellent.
So
Thank
if
you
I
very
just go to the recommendations, it's recommended that Cabinet agrees to adopt the proposed new housing allocation policy. It is also recommended Cabinet agrees that any future changes to the policy that are not major can be delegated for approval by the Director of Housing and Planning. And I would so propose, Leader.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Questions, queries? Yes, Guy Renner-Thompson.
Thank you, Leader. And I say I absolutely welcome this on behalf of my community up in Bamborough and Seahouses and Beadnell. The vast majority of the casework I get as a local member is around housing. We have had instances on the local Facebook page of someone from Manchester or Glasgow saying, "Oh, I've applied for a house in Seahouses. Is it a nice place to live?" And then there's absolute uproar and hell on in the local community because there is a shortage of affordable housing in Northumberland, but particularly in that part of the world because of the issues we all know about with second homes and holiday lets and whatever. So in changing this policy, which is something that we've talked about for a long time and it gets raised at pretty much every parish council meeting I go to, it's an absolute win for that part of the world. And I welcome the strengthening of the rural element as well, that makes sure that people that are born and raised in those parishes and have ancestors and grandparents in those parishes get priority for what little social housing remains. And we continue to push for the construction of more social housing at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Stewart.
I think this administration's been victim of its own success. Representing a ward on the edge of a large metropolitan area, we find those councils there do not invest in their roads, they don't invest in the parks and open spaces, or education. And I receive numerous telephone calls and emails from residents in other areas wishing to move into Northumberland because life is so much better there. So I welcome the comments there by Councillor Horncastle in relation to local allocation policy. I'm sure residents throughout Northumberland will see the benefit of that.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, can I just pick up on Colin's point around the 7,000 people in Band 3? When we first started doing this work, and this work came about in part because of a really good example of how scrutiny can work really well in this council. So members, when I chaired the Communities and Place Committee, members of the committee raised issues around housing allocations and around the home finder system. So we had a piece of work done and it came to scrutiny, and then out of that came some of the work that we've heard about today, which is all really positive. And this was apolitical, all-party members working together for the good of their communities, and I think that's what scrutiny should be about. But what I'm concerned about now is that because it's already happened when we first started talking about it, is that the 7,088 people who will no longer be on the home finder system, that will be presented as they've been removed from the housing waiting list. And it's true to say that none of those 7,000 people will, unless their circumstances change, will ever be eligible. So it's really important that we make that message really clear. So can I suggest that we write to all of the group leaders and to the 4 MPs explaining that these people never would have been eligible for a house, and so therefore please don't create any anxiety in our communities about people being removed from the waiting list, because actually, it's a little bit like sort of buying waiting to win the lottery when you haven't ever bought a ticket. It's it's just something that's not going to happen.
That's a very good idea. I'll do that tomorrow. Councillor Wearmouth.
Yes, thank you. It's a really important piece of work. Thank you, Councillor Horncastle. There was an awful lot of misuse of the numbers over the course of the last 18 months or so in terms of trying to make political comment, and naturally it was completely incorrect. What we want to do as a council, and we've always been very clear over the course of 9 years of administration here, is helping people who need our help the most, who are in genuine need. And if you have no demonstrable housing need, you shouldn't be on this list. It's as simple as that. And that's where we finally have gotten to with this piece of work. So well done. I'm very pleased as well that you've got stuff in here making sure specifically that we're helping people in the armed forces. It's something that I regularly is in my mailbox and something that people feel very passionately about, particularly in this county that has such a rich military heritage. That we make sure that we help our armed forces. Very, very pleased indeed to see that. I'm sure that other people experience this as well as councillors. The majority of issues I get from social housing or from council housing is where someone comes from outside our county and lands in a community, and we all know the sorts of people that other councils are keen to get rid of, and they get pushed probably into our direction if I'm being truthful about it, to try and get them out of other places. If this helps us avoid that, then all the better as well. And that we have a focus on housing Northumberland residents, which is what we should be all about as a county. So thank you very much. It's a really good report. Very pleased to see the work that was done with scrutiny to make sure that we got it here, and that it's a well-rounded piece of work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to add to that. This is a very good paper, and I think it's important just to reflect how this decision is very much bound within our 3 priorities. So, for example, in achieving value for money, this will bring transparent decision making, strengthening the policy framework, which makes everyone more accountable. Secondly, to tackle inequalities, that local connection, which is so important, and support for vulnerable groups. And finally, around the economic growth, to retain local workforce, and that means in the rural areas as well, of course, and responsive to demographic change. So I remember talking about this at a policy conference last year with members, and also, as you say, Scrutiny have done some very good work on this as well. So thank you to members of all the groups for helping us get to this stage. With that suggestion that you've made, Councillor Oliver, are you proposing this and seconding it, and are you all in favour? That's great. Thank you very much indeed. We now move on to agenda 10, which is around education, SEND and skills annual report for academic year 2024-25. And who else can I ask to deliver this? But Guy Renner-Thomason.
Who else could you ask indeed, Leader? I'm sure you could have presented it yourself. So this is the annual report, which I'm very pleased to say continues the positive narrative that we have the last few years of annual reports, with all the good stuff happening in education and skills in Northumberland. So I'll pick out some of the highlights for you. So in the last year, we had 39 Ofsted inspections. 18 of those were graded inspections, and all of the judgments we got were good or outstanding. So we are still the top county in the northeast for our school Ofsted results. Of the ungraded inspections, all were found to be the schools were improving. So we continue on that upward trajectory. Our early years provision, which is preschool and nursery, 99% of providers are deemed to be good or outstanding. And you'll remember the previous Conservative government brought in 30 hours free childcare for working parents in an attempt to make life easier for working parents and ease the cost of living and get those working parents back into work. And there was some squealing at the time from the opposition saying, oh, it'll never work, there'll never be enough staff to make it work, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's all turned out to be nonsense, and things are running swimmingly, and there are an awful lot of people in the county better off in themselves because of that policy that we brought in. SEND demand, as we know, has grown significantly, with EHCP plans up 20% year on year. We continue to do an awful lot of partnership work to combat this and make sure that every child gets the start in life that they need. You know, specialist capacity has been extended. We've built new special schools. We've put specialist support bases into our existing schools. Despite this, our mainstream schools do still face financial and capacity issues, and we continue to lobby the government for long-term solutions to this issue. I would say that the government just needs to look at Wales, where they've actually done some very good work there on reducing the numbers of SEN children. Northumberland Skills, which is our own post-16 and post-18 provider, often a service that steps in where the colleges or the universities or the county sixth forms don't go to. We have some of the highest achievement rates in the country, of 92.7%, well above the national average. We're really keen to push vocational learning. So, you know, you don't have to go to university. You can stay in Northumberland. You can get go on a course at the Energy Central Learning Hub in Blythe, 15 million quid we spent on that, or the Welding Centre in Blythe, or the other construction courses we have at Seghill or Prudhoe, or we've got the Lindisfarne Centre in Alnwick, all across the county. You can go there, do a vocational course, stay in Northumberland and be well paid in staying here. In terms of combating poverty, which is something that the council is very keen on, there is no better way of combating poverty than giving people a good start in life and a good training into a trade where they will be able to not rely on the government. They will be able to rely on the high wages that they make themselves, which is why we're very keen on pushing Northumberland Skills. Now, we've had further major capital investment totalling around £50 million in the last year. This is across a range of projects, the new schools, the specialist bases, the community facilities that I talked about. We have reorganisation of partnerships in Amble and Berwick from 3-tier to 2-tier, which went swimmingly. And specialist send capacity has expanded through those processes. Through those developments, we have slowed the growth in costly out-of-county placements for children with special educational needs. Some having to go to Newcastle, some having to go into North Tyneside. If we can keep those children in Northumberland, it is the correct thing to do in terms of costs for us, but also morally for those children. They have to travel. They don't have to travel so far, and they just have a better life in general. And finally, we are achieving 97% of parents getting their first choice school allocations for primary and secondary admissions. We work very closely with the academy sector in Northumberland to achieve this, because although we have our own admissions policies, academy schools are able to set their own policies. But by and large, I think every secondary school in the county follows our preferred admissions arrangements rather than their own, which is a great achievement of the staff here and their negotiating skills with various academy trusts, many of whom aren't even based in Northumberland. And that is the highlights of the report, Leader.
Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Are there any questions or anything anyone would like to raise, particularly to highlight some of the fantastic work that's going on? Richard Wearmouth.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, just to touch on a few things that Guy mentioned and a couple of things that perhaps that he didn't. First of all, very frustrating that the government's bottling this send debate. There's an obvious solution, and far be it from me to praise Labour in Wales, but they've actually done it. And why the government have not just embraced something along those lines, I cannot fathom it. And it's putting yet more pressure on us for a number of years that we don't need to have that pressure, and it's letting down SEND children and their parents and families. So very disappointing in that regard. Talking a little bit on the skills bit, where we have a bit of crossover between portfolios, some really great work going on by the education team and as well by the Regen team on that. We've got the STEM facility at Blythe already. The next stage will be the Energy Central Institute, which will allow those that are leaving that project, as it were, at the age of 18 to have lifelong training and to access degree-based apprenticeships, potentially from the likes of Durham Uni, Newcastle College, Newcastle Uni, who knows, Northumbria and others as well. A fantastic opportunity for Blythe. And I think that we've shown some real leadership on vocational training there, and it's interesting to see the government coming quite late to the debate. Yesterday, I think it was the Prime Minister saying that vocational training should be seen in the same light as university. Well, for goodness sake, we've been saying that for a very long time. Why is it that it's taken so long to cotton on down in Westminster? I cannot fathom. Really looking forward to seeing the Ashington College open at the top end of the Northumberland line. Again, it's a massive opportunity for accessibility to education for Northumberland students and from students that may wish to come from elsewhere to access the outstanding now quality as rated by Ofsted. You don't have to believe me or a guy. Outstanding Ashington College. And a little bit to say that even through schemes like Borderlands, we're looking at what we can do with STEM facilities in places like Alnwick as well, making sure that we're delivering that across the county because it is vitally important. And that's me. Thank you, Leader.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes, Nick Oliver.
Just a quick question. I mean, I really support everything that's already been said about vocational qualifications. Would it be possible to set up a vehicle maintenance apprenticeship in our new vehicle maintenance depot when we're finally allowed to build it in Hexham?
I'm sure those discussions could be had in that depot in Hexham, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the manager there was one of our own apprentices and came through that programme back in the day. So that would be something we would be keen to continue.
Very, very good point. 127 of our staff work in that depot, I think, which is which is fantastic, and we're very grateful to them for not working in the best of conditions, and we hope to get that resolved soon. Okay, so it is fundamentally important, as you said, to give every child the best chance if they want to take it. And so those children who may not want to progress through the school education system and then on to university or further college, has now, because of the work that we've done over the last few years, got the ability to train in a huge range of different skills, Guy, and that is the way we will tackle the poverty in this county, and it's the best way to do it. And it ticks all our corporate priorities as well, and I'm really grateful for all the work that goes on. And if we don't do anything else, we must continue with that piece of work, because it is so important to give every child the opportunity as another child has. Okay, so have you proposed? I will propose. Seconded by Councillor Riddle, thank you. Are you all in favour of this report? That's unanimous, thank you very much indeed. So now we move on to our final paper today, which is around Northumberland Coast National Landscape Management Plan 2025 to 2030, and I'm going to ask Councillor Riddle, who is our Cabinet Member for Environment, Rural and Farming, to take us through this one.
Thank you, Leader. I think you'll all agree that we're blessed to live in such a beautiful county as Northumberland here. A county that not only has a national park, but also has two areas of what we used to call areas of outstanding natural beauty. That was the North Pennines and the Northumberland coast. They are now known as national landscapes, and that's under the Section 89 of the Countryside and Rights of Way Act of 2000. This County Council has a duty to prepare and review management plans for both these areas every 5 years. This report's in front of you today, which I hope you will adopt, is for the coastal area of Northumberland. This report has been through various challenges. It's had 8 weeks of public consultation. It's also had habitats regulation assessments, strategic environmental assessments, and integrated impact assessments. The National Landscape Partnership have approved at their meeting in October this draft report. It comes to us as Cabinet to hopefully approve it today, when it will become the statutory management plan for the Northumberland Coast landscape area. After that, it then has to go to the Secretary of State for final approval. You know, it's a very important area. It's important to not just people that live there, but you know, these are living, working landscapes. It's over 50 square miles up the coast there. It has 60 miles of coastal path and 20 miles of beaches. You know, I think you'll all agree it's a fantastic area and something that we all cherish. And I recommend the report for adoption today.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, a very important part of the county, no doubt about it. Any questions, queries about this one? If not, thank you for that. Are you proposing this, Councillor Riddle? Yeah, and seconded by Councillor Renner-Thompson. Are you all in favour of this report? Yes, that's unanimous. So thank you very much indeed. And that takes us to the end of this meeting today. Thank you all very much for your time today and for joining us from home. And I hope you all have a very happy Christmas and a fruitful 2026. And we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.